Last year was a little bit of a wacky year. We had a couple of nice wins, and we had a couple of losses that we weren't really happy about. I'm not sure there's any loss that we're not really, that we get happy about. But for the most part, we kind of took a different road into the NCAA tournament, not making your conference tournament and kind of sneaking in through a back door. I'd rather not make a habit of that, and I'd like to just start to do what we're supposed to do all the time. We didn't get hit a lot with graduation. We do have a bunch of guys coming back. That doesn't mean anything. It just means that we have a bunch of guys coming back, and we'll see how this whole thing shapes up. Jay he's turned out to be a wonderful player. Being a senior, he's a captain. He finishes the ball real well. Has worked on his dodging part of his game. Does a great job in transition. Has worked on what he hasn't been good at. He's very focused, and he wants to take Hofstra to a place it's never been, and that's a pretty strict goal for him right now. He's pretty focused. Jamie is a guy that transferred from Denver, and he's been wonderful with our team. He really has. He's a guy that finishes the ball real well, plays without it very, very well. He's got a good lacrosse IQ, knows his strengths, knows his weaknesses. Good team guy, gets things done, and he's been great. He's gotten over a 3-0. He's done a great job with us. Yeah, Steven is a guy that, be careful of the last guy, the caboose. Steven didn't get a whole lot of run in the beginning part of his career, and he just stayed with it, and he worked at it, and now he plays in front of two guys that really demand a lot of attention, and he kind of sneaks up, and at the end of the game, you're like, Ben's had another 3, or Ben's had another 2, and a couple of assists, and he's no highs, no lows with Steven. He's a pretty even keel guy, and he's done a great job. Mike Scudin, he's the Steven Benson of the defense. He's a guy that has slowly just gathered a lot of playing time, played in a lot of big games. The guys look up to him. He's a wonderful person. The worst part about Michael is he's a senior, and you're going to miss him because he's stability down that end. He's a voice. He's got confidence. He understands the defense. He's done a great job. Cody Shalaya, who is a sophomore, he was a highly touted recruit out of Texas. Got his feet wet last year as a freshman. Played in a lot of big games. Played against Maryland's Attack last year. Played in the new Giant Stadium in the first game ever as a freshman. So those are pretty cool experiences that sometimes you can't replicate. And we're looking forward for him to come back and do a great job. So that third spot is still a little bit up in the air. We're not sure which direction we're going to head in just now, but that's part of the conversations that we're having in the coach's office right now. Our conference is one of the toughest in the country. When you're talking about teams like Drexel and Delaware and Towson and Penn State and Hofstra, UMass now, you're talking about where do you go? Where do you go with those? You got to bring it. And it is a tough conference, meaning when the whistle blows, people are not afraid to trade paint. So it's a bruising conference. And it'll be exciting, because I think our strength of our conference will help us. In the past, the CAA has gotten multiple bids to go to the tournament. Not just the automatic qualifier, but maybe the second team, sometimes maybe even a third team. And I think that I'm hoping that will continue because of everybody's conference, out of conference schedule is pretty good. This year, our out-of-conference schedule has changed up a little bit. A couple of teams had dropped us, but Princeton obviously is one of the marquees that is on the schedule. We're going to open up with Colgate this year. It's the first time in a long time that we've played them. Certainly, with Princeton, I'm not sure that there are any easy games at all anymore. You know what I mean? And maybe years ago it was a little bit different, but if you don't bring it right now, it's over. All these new programs that are coming up, anybody can get anybody on any given day. When we discuss goals as a Hofstra lacrosse group, we start back. We work backwards. So obviously, We would like to be there on Memorial Day, the one holding the trophy. And then in order to do that, well, we got to be there on Saturday. And in order to do that, you got to win a quarterfinal game. And in order to do that, you got to win a first round game. And in order to do that, you got to show well in your conference tournament and win your conference tournament or have a really good season. And in order to do that, you got to win a lot of games throughout the course of the year. And then the final back stages, you got to learn how to practice like a winner. And I think that we have a little bit of a bad taste in our mouth from last year. Certainly with the way it ended, but on how it all played out. I think this group understands the position that they put themselves in, and that can't happen anymore. We got to be ready to go from the get-go. So I think it's going to start on day one of the spring, and it started in day one of the fall. There was a focus group. It's been a focus group off the field, in the weight room, strength and conditioning, all those things. They've done a very good job up until this point. So I think a lesson was learned. We're going to see how much it was learned at the end of the season.